A few months back, my audience talked me into doing Mega Man Battle Network Damageless, a series I hadn't spent much time with, and somehow we pulled it off. So naturally, you guys wanted more. The challenge this time is to beat the entire game, every single achievement and chip, with Mega Man sitting at 1 HP for the entire run. Now before we get into it, let me lay down the rules. Rule number 1. Mega Man's max HP must be set to 1 and kept there through the entire run. There are exceptions to this, like when I pick up HP increasing items, but it will reset back to 1, so if you see a higher number than it should be, it's just a visual bug. Rule number 2, every achievement has to be unlocked, and we have to get all 5 stars on the title screen to prove that we got that 100%. No skipping anything. Rule number 3, no recovery chips can be used to pad my survivability in any way. I can't just heal back up to a higher HP limit than 1. And finally, I'll be skipping the downloadable chips for most of the run until I unlock them at the very end for the collection, since they kind of break progression and there's no achievement tied to them anyway. But with all that being said, let's get into the run. So the game starts us off in AC/DC Town, same as the first game. Lan and Mega Man are back, things seem normal, and predictably, everything goes wrong almost immediately. There's a new group of mysterious guys and a new threat, so we've got a reason to start jacking into things and punching viruses again. Early on, the 1 HP thing isn't really breathing down my neck yet. The viruses in the opening areas are slow and telegraphed enough so that as long as I'm not being completely reckless, I can navigate through them just fine. The chip selection is thin anyway, so most of my folder is just whatever the game handed me. But that's fine because the early game's more about getting the foundation right than it is about surviving. We get our Z license shortly after, which if you're new to Battle Network just means we're allowed to jack into more places. One thing that gets introduced here that I cannot overstate the importance of is Sneak Run. This little program lets us avoid low-level encounters on the net and is one of the best things in the entire series. For a normal playthrough, it's convenient, but for a 1 HP run, it's borderline essential because every random encounter I don't have to take is a death I'm not risking. First real dungeon has us saving Yai and going up against Airman, the giant fan with a face who really loves tornadoes. His attack patterns aren't too complicated, but at 1 HP, you're not really afforded the luxury of learning through mistakes. You get one chance to read him correctly, and that's it. Luckily for me, Airman is one of the easier bosses of the run, and we managed to get through it safe. Chapter 2 starts us off, and the chip situation is still pretty rough. I'm working with whatever the game has seen fit to give me, and it's not exactly inspiring, which makes what comes next particularly fun. Toadman. Now I want to be clear about something. Toadman has absolutely no business being as annoying as he is. The screen gets absolutely cluttered. He's throwing tadpoles at you, music notes are bouncing everywhere, and you start to get into situations where there's just no safe square left to stand on. Oh no, I don't trust this. Oh hi. You bitch. At 1 HP, there's no tanking a hit and just pushing through either. If one of those tadpoles clips you because the screen was too chaotic to read in time, the run is over. And it doesn't help that you can't just buster him down either, because every time you step in front of him, he teleports between lily pads and says no thanks. So this fight drags on way longer than it has any right to. Which just leaves more time for the screen to get cluttered again, and more chances for something unavoidable to find you, which it did. A lot. Yeah, whatever. Toadman ended up ending my run a grand total of 28 times. But after more attempts than I'm proud of, we got there. And with Toadman down, we pick up our first achievement of the run, plenty of footage, which felt very well earned. Thank you. Plenty of footage. Defeat Toadman in Mega Man Battle Network 2, our first achievement of the run. After that, we complete the B license exam, which compared to Toadman felt like a vacation. And then the game sends us camping. Lan goes outside and touches grass, but then we're back in it again. And this is where I started genuinely feeling the pressure of the run. The enemies in the second dungeon are much faster, much more aggressive, and I'm still sitting on a chip folder that isn't doing me any favors. Every encounter started to feel like it was a frame or two away from ending everything. And then, at the end of it all, there's Quickman. Quickman, like Toadman, ended this run more times than I want to put on record. He blocks everything unless you hit him right after he teleports or during his teleport. And I was straight up thinking about digging into the download folder, but I really didn't want to break the rules of the challenge this early. Eventually, we did figure out his pattern and we do get through it. After Quickman, we get a bit of a breather. Lan finds a balloon with a note attached and decides he absolutely needs to find out whoever sent it, so it's off to Yumland. Before we can get there though, we need to earn our next license rank, which means side quests. A lot of them. At this point, Battle Network 2 started to feel less like an action RPG and more like a fetch quest simulator. Go here, fight this thing, come back, repeat. Most of it is straightforward enough that 1 HP is more tedious than dangerous. The one bright spot here though is Gateman, who we fight for the achievement Not Half Bad. Gateman himself is pretty easy, but his chip is going to be very important later in the run for reasons I'll get into when we need it. Eventually though, we do earn our license, go to Yumland, and predictably, Yumland gets attacked almost immediately. Cutman is the next boss, and I want to give him his moment here because he is the only boss in the entire run which never once ended things prematurely. Either he's that readable, or I got extremely lucky. Back at home, we have Gutsman v3 waiting for us, and this is the point where the chip folder situation actually needed to be addressed, so some grinding happened. Specifically, I came out of this with 5 Gutsman v3 chips and 5 -G chips, which lets us run the Gutsman advance consistently. This advance is a single hit that does 400 damage, which at this stage of the run is about as good as it gets. More fetch quests follow because of course they do, and then we have to deal with Quickman v3, and our answer to him was pretty straightforward. Guts Punch twice takes him down without much effort at all. Sometimes the solution is just hitting something really hard. 2 achievements fall in quick succession here. First is Fall of the Fishers from a side quest that's just go find this guy and beat him up, which we're very good at this point. Right after that is Silver Love from Need a Cupid, which involves running back and forth across the map talking to 2 people. From here, our dad asks us to go find him a program to upgrade Mega Man, which we do, and the game casually ignores the entire shared pain plot from the first game here. Not to mention the enemies are a step ahead of us now, and we need to save the mother computer, which means a long dungeon full of passwords to figure out. It's exactly as tedious as it sounds, but this dungeon does give us our style change. Because we've been running around the entire game without taking a single hit, the game rewards us with Guts Wood style. Our Buster now hits for 10 damage at the cost of shooting speed, and we're now weak to fire. The fire weakness doesn't really matter because nothing's going to be hitting us anyway, but for the first time using it in battle, we get the achievement Buster Justice. At the end of all of this, we find Shadow Man, and we shoot him with a large bazooka, which does not work because why would it, and we begin the fight. Now, Shadow Man teleports around similarly to how he did in the first game, but against a Guts shoot to the face and 10 damage Buster, he doesn't have a great time. Now that Shadow Man is down, we also unlock the famous folder. Up until this point, I've been working out of one folder for the whole run, so having a second one to configure is a nice quality of life addition, especially at this stage where I'm starting to actually care about what chips I have access to and when. From here, we get a pretty wild tonal shift. Lan gets invited to a Net Battler Summit for representatives from major cities around the world, and for some reason his mom looks at her 11-year-old son and goes, "Yeah, international solo travel? Sounds fine. No adult supervision, just Lan and Mega Man on a plane to a foreign country."
Shrek and Donkey on another whirlwind adventure.
I'm choosing not to think too hard about this, so we arrive at Netopia where almost immediately we get robbed. All of our money just gone. We end up finding the guy who did it and beat his ass, but then we get robbed again, this time for all of our chips. All because Lan is a dumb 11-year-old. Somewhere in here, Lan and Mega Man also have a falling out, though I'll be honest with you, the argument lasts maybe 5 minutes before they reconcile and everything's fine again. Which is good because I really didn't have time for an emotional arc on top of everything else, and then lo and behold, someone steals our passport. Before we can get it back, we run into Raoul, and if we want his help, we'll need to beat him. His Navi is Thunderman, and I think this was one of the first fights in the run I actually had a lot of fun with. Learning his attack patterns felt like a puzzle that had a clean solution once you spotted it. He did end me a handful of times as I was learning, and there was definitely some situations where I felt like I got unjustifiably hit, but overall it was a really enjoyable fight. Beating him also earns us the achievement, Friends in Low Places. After we get our passport back, the chips turn out to be in the hands of some wealthy older woman and her navvy Snake Man. Snake Man is probably the easiest fight in the entire run next to Cutman. If there's a difficulty floor in this game, Snake Man is standing on it. But we get another achievement for our troubles. We finally make it to the summit and everything immediately falls apart, which makes me think Lan and Mega Man are just cursed. We end up thrown into our next dungeon before anything productive actually happens, and this dungeon is long but not too bad. Sneak Run handles most of the encounters, so the only thing that's really in our way is these zombies that drag us back, wasting our sneak run time. The vampires don't do anything to our health because we have none, and the bandits we can just get our money back at the end of the area. What does almost end things though is Shad. He decides that this is a great moment for the two of us to have a confrontation, and now I have to fight Protoman. I'm gonna be real with you, I don't know how anyone does this fight legit. Protoman is fast, his teleports are aggressive, and I could not keep up with the movements in real time. My brain just is not fast enough anymore. I ended up pausing the game every time he would teleport just to give myself a moment to read where he was going. You can call it cheese, but I genuinely could not care less, especially when he does things like this to me. I'm dead. Luckily, we were able to pull out the win though. After that whole mess, we both figure out that we've been set up and there is a bigger problem at play. Princess Pride and Nightman are the ones behind everything going to hell this time around. Nightman cycles through the same attacks in the same order every single time, and it's another easy one. Especially after the mess I had to deal with when it came to Protoman, this is a walk in the park by comparison. Our entire next chapter takes place on the plane ride back home. The Gospel guys take over the aircraft and our job is to run back and forth across the plane approximately 30 times clearing problems. It's about as exciting as it sounds, but I did make a point of picking a catcher end chip up while I was here because there's a quest later that's going to need it. Magnet Man is the chapter boss this time around, and he's yet another easy one, which is a breath of fresh air, especially after the early game put me through Toadman hell. The one thing worth noting is that I deliberately kept his health around 400 before finishing him off so I could guts shoot him before he transitioned to his next phase, since that would just make him clutter the entire screen, which I just don't have the patience for. Chapter 7 opens with some housekeeping. I'd been putting off dealing with the style change achievements, so I sat down and started the grind for custom style. Except I didn't have enough points and ended up unlocking shield style instead, which does get us the achievement the best offense. Eventually custom style does come through though, which I got super lucky with since the elements you get are random, and we got aqua custom, which is the exact one I wanted. From there, I leveled it up to 3, put together the chips I needed for Gator, and somewhere in the middle of all that, I'd used enough Navi chips to unlock Team Style too, so we grabbed that achievement while we're at it. I also got another lucky break while I was using the chip trader and got Fast Gauge, which I instantly set to our free chip. For those who are unaware, Gator is probably the most broken action advance in Battle Network 2, the same way that 2x Hero was the best one in Battle Network 1. It's a full screen nuke to basically everything in the game that is unlucky enough to not have an aura to protect themselves. Gator does 100 damage, which on paper is not a lot. However, it not only locks onto the enemies on the screen, but shoots 9 times. So if you combine that with some attack boosting chips, you can hit bosses for about 1300 max damage, which will take care of most things in our way. With the style change and chip situation sorted, we can actually get back to the game, which at this point has decided things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. Turns out the tectonic plates in this world are all controlled by computers. Gospel hacks them, and now natural disasters are breaking out across the planet. Also, Roll needs rescuing. We're going to ignore all of that for a bit and go do some side quests. Specifically, we're going for our S license, which earns us cream of the crop. At the time, I thought the 10 battle gauntlet was going to be a real problem at 1 HP, and it is tense, but compared to what comes later, it's nothing. We also finish up the Help Research side quest for 2 advanced, take down Thunderman and Snake Man V3, and then wrap up the Please Help side quest for dealing with small fries. Then we go save Roll. After that, it's a stretch of running back and forth to stabilize the net, which is more tedious than dangerous. We pick a fight with Nightman V3, and then we track down Freeze Man. Gator makes short work of him, which is good for us because the longer this fight goes on, the worse of a time you're going to have. And that'll just close out another chapter. Gospel isn't done though, so we head back in, and this is where things get interesting. We need to take down Airman, Cutman, Quickman, Shadowman, Magnaman, and Freezeman all in their V3 forms, which we need for something coming up shortly. After that, we chase Gospel down into a radiation-filled apartment complex, which I just ran through the entire thing with Sneak Run. I will say though, this area probably has the best music in the game, which to be honest with you, just made playing this section so much more fun. Just listen to this awesome soundtrack. We confront the gospel leader and jack in to take on the final boss. And the one waiting at the end of all of it is Base. But unlike Base from the first game, this one only has 1000 HP and no shield. So he's down in less than a second with a gator. After that, we find out the person running Gospel is a kid our age. One we actually saw on the plane leaving Natopia earlier. He cranks up his servers and fuses together our true final boss, and I did end up losing the runs here a couple of times, which was frustrating, but it was entirely my own fault. In reality, this boss isn't all that different from the final boss in the first game. You wait for him to open his mouth, hit him with the first gator, wait out his invincibility frames, and the moment he opens his mouth again, the second gator finishes it. For beating him, we earned the achievement True Friends, but we aren't done quite yet. Post-game means earning our SS and SSS licenses. 20 and 30 consecutive battles without stopping. At 1 HP, the thing I was most worried about wasn't the fights themselves, it was situations like this, where the fan just instantly pulls you into a hazard. Luckily, we have fans of our own to stop that from happening, and the rest of the battles could mostly be handled by a gator with a few exceptions. We take down Protoman and Heatman v3, and then head into the World 3 area to deal with Barrowman, Napalm Man, and Planet Man before a fight with the real Base, who was pretty disappointing. Luckily, this isn't his full power. From there, I farmed chips and did some online trading with some very generous people to get the chip libraries maxed out as possible. Then Pharaoh Man v3, Napalm Man v3, and Planet Man v3 all have to get dealt with. I admit, both Napalm Man and Planet Man did give me some trouble, but I think that was more on me trying to use Gator when there was stuff in front of me and it would just eat up all the damage. Pharaoh Man wasn't even slightly a challenge though. With all the V3 navies dealt with, I can finally go claim what I've been working towards the whole game, hub style. I was honestly so excited to use this, I'd been really wanting to see what it could do since the very beginning of the game. And then I found out that hub style halves your HP when you equip it. And the way the game handles that when you're at 1 HP is to just set your HP at 0 and kill you outright. So I don't get to use it at all, which was majorly disappointing. I spent some time collecting every program advance, and then it's time for base DX. Now this version is noticeably stronger than anything we fought in Battle Network 1, but with a bit of prep, it is manageable. I found a strategy online that used the Meteor 180 chip to break his shield, and then we do what we always do and gator him into the ground. Between the invis and shield chips I'd picked up from the chip traders, I was able to get through it at 1 HP with a few close calls added on for good measure. A few good runs of that, I pick up base V2, base V3, and the Life Aura chips, and that rounds out our chip collection, 260 out of 260. And after that, it's just cleanup. The last chip folder, memory upgrades, health upgrades, all of it. We hit level 100, we sit down with the Quiz King and give all of the answers for Long-Standing Curse, and then finish off the last 2 side quests for Stealing's Wrong, right? And with that, according to the title screen at least, Battle Network 2 and this challenge are finished. I'll be honest, I was surprised how much easier the back half of the game got once we got our folder set up. Most of my deaths were concentrated right at the start of the game with Toadman of all things. Outside of combat though, the game was fairly tedious, and I hope Battle Network 3 doesn't continue that trend. But with all that being said, Mega Man Battle Network 2 is mission complete. Sub, like, follow me everywhere. If you want food pictures or channel updates, come join our Discord, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.